Smoke in the cabin on the ramp at the gate terminal ramp, southwest 994, Boeing 737, smoke in the cockpit.
The Galaxy Note 7 is dead, and Samsung is in a disastrous situation.
In August 2016, Samsung launched what reviewers were calling the best smartphone ever made. 73 days later, it was banned on every airplane on Earth.
Bro, imagine having to throw your phone away.
This is the story of how Samsung built their greatest phone and then watched it burn twice. To understand what happened, you need to understand where Samsung stood in 2016. They were the biggest smartphone manufacturer on the planet. Not one of the biggest, the biggest. The Galaxy Note 7 launched on August 19th, 2016. The reviews were extraordinary. It broke pre-order records in South Korea. Shipments to other countries had to be delayed because demand was so high, they couldn't keep up. It had a curved screen, iris recognition, water resistance, a 3,500 milliamp battery, one of the largest ever put inside a phone that thin. That battery detail matters, remember it. On August 24th, 5 days after launch, the first explosion was reported in South Korea.
Galaxy Note 7 is dead, and Samsung is in a disastrous situation.
This is going to be a collector's item. A Samsung.
Samsung has hundreds of people trying to figure this out. They can't figure it out.
Phones were catching fire while charging overnight, while sitting on desks, while in people's pockets. They had squeezed the largest battery they'd ever used into the thinnest body they'd ever designed. When positive meets negative inside a lithium battery, it doesn't just stop working, it catches fire. Samsung had built a phone with a battery that was essentially a small incendiary device sitting in your pocket. On September 2nd, 2 weeks after launch, Samsung announced a global recall. They would replace every Note 7 with a new one. New battery, different supplier, problem solved, or so they said. The replacement phones started going out in mid-September. Samsung had sourced new batteries from a Chinese company called ATL, a completely different supplier, no connection to the original defect. They were confident, publicly, explicitly confident. The replacements were safe. The crisis was over. Samsung had acted fast, taken responsibility, and fixed it. And for about 3 weeks, it seemed like they were right. Right? On October 5th, a man boarded a Southwest Airlines flight in Louisville, Kentucky. His Note 7, a replacement device, the supposedly safe one, began smoking in his hands.
Smoke in the cabin on the ramp at the gate terminal ramp, southwest 994, Boeing 737, smoke in the cockpit.
Smoke came pouring from this Samsung Galaxy Note 7 smartphone, forcing Southwest Flight 994 to Baltimore to be evacuated as it sat at the gate in Louisville this morning.
Three days later, another replacement Note 7 caught fire. Then another, and another. Samsung had recalled 2.5 million phones and replaced them with phones that also caught fire. That quote from the supply chain dive said it perfectly. That's like a meteor striking your house, twice. On October 8th, the US Department of Transportation banned the Note 7 from all flights. Not just carry-on, cargo too. You couldn't put it in your checked bag. Gate agents were announcing it before boarding. Flight attendants were making it part of their safety briefing. Alongside seatbelts and emergency exits, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. September 2nd, first recall. October 5th, replacement phones catch fire. October 8th, banned from all flights worldwide. October 10th, Samsung halts all production. October 11th. Note 7 permanently discontinued. From launch to death, 73 days. The 5 major US carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, US Cellular, all stopped selling it simultaneously. Samsung sent out fireproof boxes with special return packaging and instructions. They were shipping hazardous proof containers to people's houses for a consumer smartphone. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Samsung knew the replacement timeline was aggressive. The first recall was announced September 2nd. The iPhone 7 was launching September 16th. Samsung had 2 weeks to fix, manufacture, and ship 2.5 million replacement phones before Apple launched their biggest competitor of the year. So they rushed. The replacement batteries from ATL had a different flaw, a manufacturing defect in the welding process. Same result, different cause. 2 completely different suppliers, 2 completely different defects, one common link. Samsung had pushed both suppliers so hard, so fast, that neither produced a battery that was fully safe. As one analyst put it, Samsung's battery suppliers also made batteries for Apple. Apple's phones didn't explode. The problem wasn't the suppliers. It was the pressure. Let's talk about what this actually cost. Total estimated losses from recall and discontinuation, $5 billion. Projected revenue Samsung would never see from Note 7 sales, $17 billion. Phones recalled worldwide, 2.5 million. 96 reports of batteries overheating in the US alone, 13 reports of burns, 47 reports of property damage. And then there's the number that doesn't show up in any financial report. How many people bought an iPhone 7 instead and never came back? Here's what makes the Samsung story different from most disasters. They came back. In January 2017, Samsung held a press conference. They presented the full findings of their investigation. They named both battery defects clearly. They launched an 8-point battery safety check for every future device. No spin, no deflection, no blaming the suppliers. Just, here is what happened, here is why, here is what we changed. The Galaxy S8 launched in April 2017. It sold over 20 million units. The Galaxy Note 8 launched in August 2017, exactly 1 year after the Note 7's catastrophic debut. It was reviewed as one of the best phones of the year. Consumers forgave Samsung faster than almost anyone predicted, but there's one place they didn't. Samsung had publicly stated that the Note 7 explosions in China were not caused by battery defects, an attempt to avoid a recall in their biggest market. When the truth came out, Chinese consumers felt they'd been lied to while everyone else was being protected. Samsung's market share in China collapsed and never recovered. Today, Samsung barely registers in China's smartphone market. Samsung made the greatest phone they had ever built. Then they rushed it. They rushed the battery into a body that was too thin for it. They rushed the replacement phones to beat Apple's launch date. They rushed the second supplier without testing long enough. Every single failure in this story traces back to one decision made over and over again: speed over safety. Samsung recovered. Their engineering is exceptional, their brand resilient, their marketing relentless. But somewhere in their China market, share numbers is the ghost of every customer who felt like they mattered less than a launch date. 73 days. That's how long it took to go from the best smartphone ever made to banned on every plane on Earth. And the worst part, they already knew the battery was tight.